Hello, my name is Sarah and I am an English teacher and language anxiety coach. And today I'm joined with...
Silvia, I'm an English enthusiast from Italy. I'm one of your students and I'm an English teacher too.
Cool. So Silvia, we've got together today to talk about the Open Cloze at CPE level.
Right.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about this Open Cloze question. It's part 2 of the Use of English test. What's the purpose of it? What do Cambridge want you to be able to do?
Well, in this second part, Cambridge wants to test your ability to use grammar and to find out the right word for each of the 8 gaps you have to fill in. So here they are basically testing how solid you are with your grammar.
Okay, and that's in contrast with the multiple choice cloze in part 1, which predominantly is a vocabulary test.
It is, right.
Okay, interesting. And how many marks could people get in this part of the test?
Well, 8 marks in total, as you have 8 gaps to fill in, and it is 1 mark for each gap.
Okay, so 1 mark for each question, each missing space. And in terms of time, when you took your CPE exam, how much time did you allow yourself for the Open
Well,
Cloze?
yeah, I allowed myself 5 to 6 minutes, not more,
Okay.
as this exercise is the second of 7 exercises that you have to be able to do in an hour and a half. So yeah, 6 minutes should be enough.
Yeah, and it's really important that people get that time,
Right.
so they can do it in that time. It's super important. And then you've got a couple of things that you want to say, I think, about the writing. So this is particularly perhaps for people who might be lucky enough to do this exam by hand.
Yeah.
What are your tips when it comes to actually filling in those gaps?
It should be accurate. You cannot make any spelling mistakes, right? So be accurate when you write. And if you are doing the paper version of the test, write all the single letters in capital letters.
Okay.
This is what they ask you to do.
Okay, so capital letters if you're doing the exam by hand, and spelling has to be
Immaculate.
immaculate. Oh my gosh, it's just as well I don't have to do this exam then, because my spelling is not immaculate. All right, let's go and take a look at an example of the Open Cloze question.
Right.
Okay, so here is an example of the Open Cloze. And just to be clear, this one, again, it's taken from the Cambridge Proficiency Textbook 2, it's test 4. So Sylvia, what do you do when you turn over your test paper and you are faced with this?
First of all, I would read the title in order to have a glimpse to the general idea
Yep,
of the article I have in front of me.
mm-hmm.
And then I would read the article for gist in order to understand the train of thought of my writer, of the writer, and the context, obviously.
And how long should people spend reading through this?
Again, couple of minutes should be
Maximum.
enough.
Yeah. And I guess it's worth saying that by CPE, people really need to have that ability to skim read quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is fundamental. Yeah.
Really important. Why? I mean, I've worked with a lot of CPE students who don't do that and who just go straight into filling in these gaps. Why is that a really bad strategy here?
Well, it is a bad strategy because you have to understand the context of the article. And to do this, you have to read it till the end. Once you are familiar, once you are confident with what it is written, then you can decide which kind of words you are going to use, right?
Absolutely. It's so important to have that big picture before you try and go in for the details, because getting
Of course,
details if you don't have that global understanding is
it's not
really, really
possible.
hard. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really hard. All right, so Sylvia, I think you are going to talk us through your kind of method for a couple of these questions. Is that right?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Which one would you like to start with?
Let's start with number 9, as 0 is already done
Yep.
by the book.
Oh,
Well,
yes, this is the example, isn't it?
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
In number 9, they are basically introducing a new sentence. And well, here, I believe they want to test the vocabulary, as here is not a grammar focus, that's a vocabulary focus. We have strictly, and we have to find out the right word to start, to begin our sentence. And here is a collocation, strictly speaking.
Okay. So I'm going to type that word in here.
Yeah. How do I know it?
How
Because
do you know it?
I have already read or the paragraph once again, and then I realized, oh, we are at the beginning of a sentence. We have to say something which is bound to strictly,
Yeah.
and it is a chunk,
Yeah.
strictly speaking.
Yeah. So this is quite interesting, isn't it? Because we talked about the fact that this is testing mostly
Yeah.
grammar, but
But a couple of vocabulary focuses
yeah,
are there.
exactly,
Sure.
exactly. So there will still be some focus on vocabulary items in this question. Cool. And I think you wanted to tell us a little bit about number 10 as well.
Yeah, so going on with the reading, I would make sure I have the subject in number 10. As you can see, in number 10, well, we don't have the subject in this phrase, do we?
Do you
No,
mean this phrase here?
sure.
Okay. No, there's no subject there. So we're looking for a subject.
You sure? And what is impossible? Well, it is impossible only that which involves a logical contradiction. I would put only that, but something should be all right as well. But in my opinion, that is perfect, as it is something general. They are not testing a specific word here. Here, they just need a general subject.
Okay. And I'd also add to your kind of very beautifully logically worked out thinking is that this, in a sense, is also a kind of vocabulary chunk. This is this interesting kind of where does vocabulary end and grammar begin? Because the two are actually quite connected. This is a really hard word to get right. When I first looked at this text, I struggled with this one here. I admit that. And this, you are correct, it is a grammar question, but this is also operating here as a chunk, only that which plus verb. So this is an example of when students really need to be, as we've said, reading a lot and looking for these phrases and learning these. Awesome. Did you want to talk about another one, or do you think that's enough?
Well, have a look at number 11. In number 11, we need something different. We need to link the two phrases.
So you're talking about this phrase
Sure.
and this phrase here.
Right. And here we are looking for a sort of negative agreement or an agreement which implies something negative. I would put nor or neither as conjunctions with a negative reference.
Okay. So it's interesting what's happening here, isn't it? Because you've got these two clauses which agree with each other, but like you said, the agreement is like a negative agreement. There's no sun today, neither is there any blue sky.
Right.
And here, nor and neither would both fit in this gap, right?
Yeah.
So as a candidate, you've got a choice of whether you have nor or neither. I think it's worth pointing out to people that there are occasions where there is more than one possibility.
Sure.
What might happen to someone if they put both, do you think?
Well, I believe you only have to write one word. It is
Mm,
not possible to write both of them.
mm,
So,
yeah,
as they are the same, aren't they?
yeah,
Being the same, well, choose the one you prefer.
yeah,
I would go with nor, but neither is also okay.
yeah, I think so too. Awesome. All right. So we're going to close the screen share down now, and we're just going to have a little chat about how people can best prepare
Right?
for this part of the use of English test.
Let's go.
So, Sylvia, I think you would like to share a few tips for people about how they can prepare for this question. What would be your kind of number one top tip that people really need to do if they want to do well in the open close?
Well, for this part of the test, I would suggest to study grammar, which seems to be boring, but this is of paramount importance
Mm,
to nail, to ace this exercise. As here, what they test is really the use of prepositions, pronouns, linkers,
mm,
conjunctions, comparison, fixed phrases, chunks. And uh, not only you need to be, as I told you at the beginning, an avid reader, but you also need to know the complexity of the grammar, of the English grammar. So maybe go through a good advanced grammar book.
mm. Yeah,
And
there's some, sorry I interrupted you, but there are a couple of grammar books which are specifically for CAE and CPE preparation, and those are probably really good ones for people to go and look for online.
yeah, grammar books can be also interesting and challenging if you use the examples they give you and you change them with your, I don't know, with your preferences. You may want to change sentences
Mm,
with your, yeah, with things that you like,
mm,
things
mm.
that may come in handy for you.
Yeah.
So you not only learn how to use the grammar, but you also apply it to what you need.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing actually, is that people shouldn't just work through the grammar book, but you actually really need to make that grammar real for you.
Yeah,
So writing your own sentences, using the grammar to talk about something that you care about, whether that be your dog or your pet or your boyfriend or your hobby, it doesn't really matter. But making something memorable means it sticks
yeah,
in
right.
your head, and then you can bring it to mind when you need it. It's not an abstract fact
Sure,
anymore.
sure.
Mm,
And then I believe it is easier then to envision where you studied or where you found
yeah,
that particular grammar rule.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, and is there anything else that you would share with people?
Yeah, well, studying grammar could be boring.
Mm,
So why don't you study it maybe with your mobile phone?
mm,
There's a website which I adore. It is Flojo.
mm,
They give you different exercises on a regular basis. It takes you what, maybe 3 to 4 minutes every day.
mm,
And this is how you can revise and learn and have fun with
mm.
grammar.
Yeah, and I think all of those points are really important. It's no good, I don't know, studying mixed conditionals if you then never review mixed conditionals again. You have to be reviewing and reviewing and reviewing on a very consistent basis. And I agree with you, short chunks of time done regularly in an enjoyable way are infinitely better for people than 4 hours of grammar on a Saturday afternoon when you'd rather be out with your friends. That's not a good way to
No.
prepare for anything, I don't think.
Mm.
Cool. Sylvia, thank you so much for all your time and your suggestions.
Thank you, Sarah.
And I look forward to seeing you again when we're going to talk about, oh, is it keyword transformation next?
It is. And word transformation as well.
Word transformation is next. That's the one. I'll see you then.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.